locally owned. I'm from Amsterdam, so they can expect good football food, baseball food, pizza, wings, and beer. You know, you can bring your kids in and, you know, they can play pool or play the video games, or they can sit with you and watch TV too, because you got the TVs in every dining room. It's such a place that you can come in with your family and sit down. And again, it's family oriented because it's family owned. When you walk in here, it's like a TV show, Cheers. Everybody knows your name. And you can expect that from in here because everybody knows everybody else.
Sideline Guys back at sidelineguys.recordernews.com, brought to you as always by our friends at Crystal Ristorante, 72 Lion Street in Amsterdam. With Michael Kelly, I'm Adam Schinder, and through 4 weeks of the high school football season, we've still got 2 undefeated teams.
Right, and a very impressive weekend from both of those teams. Amsterdam coming out in that South Glens Falls game, doing what they had to do in that game, taking the 49-0 decision, and Fonda winning a hard-fought win over Chatham.
Yeah, going chronological order here. We'll start out Friday night out in South Glens Falls. Drizzly night, gnats and mosquitoes all over the field. The players were just absolutely miserable in the 20 or 30 minutes right before the game. Bug spray all over the place. But as soon as they kicked off, really went right down the throats of the South Glens Falls Bulldogs. Never really in any doubt. Scored 21 points in the first 10 minutes, 49-0 win, and it was what a good team needed to do.
Right, because you see that always, that's kind of the mark of an elite high school football team, is that when they get games like this, they don't just win 20-0, they win something like 40 or 50-0. It's not running up the score necessarily, it's just that's how much better you have to be if you want to compete at the highest level come the end of the season.
Now, this was done really by the Rams' depth. Really, for the first time this season, their depth on offense really got to show off. You saw Brent Stanovich really showed the explosiveness he showed as a backup last season. Had an incredible 76-yard touchdown run in the third quarter, where he took the ball, went to the right, off right tackle to the sideline, bounced all the way back across the width of the field, and took it up the other sideline for a touchdown. And he's been battling injuries ever since track and field season. And he told me after the game, he's like, it was playing in my mind a little bit, those injuries, but when I saw the sideline, I said, oh, heck, just go for it.
And at over 300 yards rushing this past week, coming into that game through the first 3 weeks, they only had a little over 300 as a team. So really coming into form with the running game, which, I mean, high school football, that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, and you know, they didn't have to throw the ball very much when they did. Vinny Savkovic, 52 yards, 2 of them were touchdowns. Defense, again, strong. They finally got the shutout they've been looking for. So that's through 4 games. They've allowed 20 points. They've forced 16 turnovers.
Right, I mean, just a dominating start to the season. They've gotten through their toughest part. 1 more divisional game to go, and then a couple non-conference games for the sectionals. All
right, and then we move it to the next day. We were both there at Fonda Fultonville as the Braves got a really big win, 33-20 over Chatham, that really gives them the inside track to the Class C South Division Championship.
Right, which, you know, most important if you were watching the televised game Friday night, that means you avoid the Hoosick Falls Panthers until the Super Bowl. But a really impressive start to that game. Like I said, it was 33-20 final, but 21-0 after the first quarter. And they really demoralized the Chatham Panthers. I mean, Chatham was able to come back a little bit, but you never really had the sense that they had it in them in that game to come back after the way it got started.
And it was really just an amazing start for quarterback Cody Shaw. You know, the first half, Wally Kowalski really couldn't get much going. They didn't give him the ball very much, mainly because the Braves ate up so much yardage through the air in big strikes.
Well, I think it was first half they had three pass plays of more than 41 yards. And Kowalski, like I said, he had 6 carries for it was about 15 yards in the first half. Second half, he was able to churn out some yardage as they were trying to wear down the clock to get over 100. But it was really a passing attack. It was more like the Fonda of old, more than the Fonda of recent.
Yeah, I mean, Shaw really, the big play of the game really was the right at the end of the first quarter, last play of the first quarter, the Braves got possession with about 15-20 seconds left in the quarter, quickly knocked off a first down, got right up to the line with 9 seconds left, and what do you know, right downfield to Jarrett Ladd, a 64-yard touchdown pass.
Right, and that was, I mean, he was wide open by 6 or 7 yards. The Braves receivers just had a really good day in terms of creating separation for themselves, and they did it mostly with favorites. They seem to be more athletic than the Panthers secondary.
I mean, another touchdown for Jarrett Ladd, who was just on an incredible streak to start this season.
Right, and he did a little bit of everything in this one. He had the 2 receiving touchdowns. He had an interception on defense. He threw for a 2-point conversion. And I mean, when you get down to those, that Class C level, you don't have maybe the depth of an Amsterdam with that many kids, so you need guys who can do a little bit of everything, and Ladd is one of those guys for the Braves.
All right, head back to Friday night for a moment. Brawlham, Perth, just a tough start. Their tough start to the season continues as things have just kind of compounded the last couple of weeks. They've gotten into divisional play. Another big loss. They go down 47-0 to a very good Schuylerville team.
Right, and a really good Schuylerville team coming off of a loss, and they had to go to Schuylerville. Almost a little bit of a no-win situation there for Brawlham Perth, and they lived up to that billing.
And then Canajahari's offense got back on track after they really couldn't score very much 2 weeks ago against Fonda Fultonville. They put up 28 points against Voorheesville, but just kind of got overwhelmed. A 43-28 loss, and now that pretty much puts the Cougars into a situation of they need to win 2 of their last 3 to have a chance at getting into the playoffs, and 2 of those last 3 are Chatham and Waterville.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very tough schedule for them ahead, and I think this week, though, talking to head coach Ken Sullivan last week, he was a little nervous going into that one because they were coming off the bye week, which you don't often get in high school sport or high school football. So I think they might have been a little bit rusty. Maybe the timing wasn't totally there for them last week.
All right, before we go, we give out our weekly award. As always, your player of the week for week 4.
I'm going with the man we talked about a little bit earlier, Jarrett Ladd. A couple touchdowns, throws for the 2-point, interception, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, Jarrett Ladd, wearing that number 2, about 5'10" for Fonda Fultonville, reminds me so much of Tyler Hall, who was so good for this team for a few years. Kid who had 14, 15 touchdown catches in a season. And Jarrett Ladd, who only has, I believe, 9 catches this season, 6 of them touchdowns, plus a punt return for a touchdown.
Right, he's like that old thing they used to say about Chris Carter. He just catches touchdowns.
And for me, I'll go with Brett Stanovich from Amsterdam. 7 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, and it was really good to see a guy who can absolutely fly show that burst on both of his touchdown runs.
Right, and that was what that team needed. They need somebody to establish themselves as the go-to runner, and I think he did that last week.
All right, that's all for now. We'll be back later this week with a look at Week 5 in the high school football season. Until then, for Michael, I'm Adam. We're the Sideline Guys, brought to you by Crystal Ristorante at 72 Lion Street in Amsterdam. And we'll see you next time at SidelineGuys.recordernews.com.